Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and may perpetual light shine upon him, and through the mercy of God may he rest in peace. My Uncle Kevin, my brother's godfather, my father's middle brother, my fun uncle, died 2 days ago. It is interesting because his last text to me was of approval of my silver-plated flatware, and he sent that to me in a week to the hour of his death. And it's just so surreal that when he sent that, I'm sure the last thought on his mind was that he was going to be dead within a week. So with that said, he died peacefully. I will say it was kind of prophetic how he died in a coma, because years and years ago, he told me that when he was younger, he took acid and laid on a couch and had the worst acid trip of his life, where it felt like he was stuck there for eternity and he couldn't move, he couldn't scream out for help, and it was like time has slowed down and he can hear everything around him, he can see everything around him, and he's just stuck. And that was probably 20, 30 years before his actual death, and we'll say that's how he died. Basically, Wednesday he fell and apparently got hurt, but didn't go to the hospital until he called my mother at 8 o'clock her time in the morning, asking what he should do, and she said go to the immediate care. He went to the immediate care. This was Friday, and he had a cardiac event where he lost oxygen, and we believe that caused brain damage enough to be noticeable with the heart rate and EKG and all that stuff. And his living will was to not be prolonged. And so my father flew out. My birthday was Thursday. I already made a video. It was a beautiful birthday. But my father flew out Friday, and Friday evening they took him off the ventilator, and Saturday evening at 8:30 their time, he passed away. No, yeah, 8:30 their time, he passed away. And we had conversation. People call me morbid, but I like to know things. And so I actually asked my uncle 3-4 years ago about his death plans, of what he would want with his ashes, because he originally told me that he wanted to be cremated and just left on the shelf until they're tossed. He didn't care if he was thrown in the garbage, which bothered me. And I convinced him to give me his ashes in his will, and he did. And that was before I became a Republican, because he was a staunch liberal, and he actually stopped talking to me when I told him that I registered as a Republican for about a year or so. And I'm just glad we made up. Well, he made up where he would respond and stuff. But basically back then he put me in the will, and even though I wouldn't want that to happen, because he had a partner, like they were married and then they got divorced, and they still live together, and I don't think it'd be right for me to be in charge of all that. So luckily the way it worked out is his ex-partner got some and my father got some. And so with the ashes that that my family receives, while talking to him years ago, I said, well, how about instead of being scattered, because I was still holding him to the Catholic funeral, but he's not obligated to that because he didn't proclaim the Catholic faith. But I was thinking maybe we could take your ashes and mix them with molten glass and make some glass art with them. And one thing that he thought of was like a tear shape, a large tear shape, maybe the size of this crucifix. And his color was dark aquamarine. So I think that's what I want to do. I want to make a centerpiece I have a bunch of tables, and I have this table, I have a table next to it, I have a table in the living room, I have a table in the sitting room, all of which we could have meals at. And I think the table in the sitting room would be best. And it would just be a large, heavy glass object. And I'm just glad that's what I can do. Because when I heard that he was dying, I was worried, what are they going to do with his ashes? And I heard they were going to scatter them, and I was like, please don't scatter all of them. And so half is going to Arvin, his ex-husband, who they lived together, I said, and all that stuff. So there was a mutual ability. I don't know the word. Basically, there was a peacefulness between the two of them. And so he's going to get half. He's probably going to scatter his in this park that my uncle scattered his previous husband. And my father is going to get some, and we'll probably make ornaments, just a little bit of ornaments for different family members. And then I would like multiple very large, heavy glass decor. I would love like the size of this crucifix, a very large teardrop. I just would like so many things. And I know he would love to be held as art. And I think that's why he got so connected to that idea that I gave him about being in glass. So with that said, I just want to say just to run over, I said a novena before his death. I'm hoping he was saved, even though he was an atheist. I hope when Jesus appeared to him in his last judgment and asked him if he wants to be with him forever, I hope my uncle repented and said, yes, take me. And I have some stuff written down, but I already mentioned he's my brother's godfather. I said a novena, he's an atheist. He's my father's middle brother. And we went to Disneyland, Palm Spring in New Jersey. He was my fun uncle, and he is gone now forever, and I will no longer be able to text him, which will be very surreal. With that said, Hail Mary and God bless.